here's the deal. Out of high school, I was going to go to a JUCO, and we have Cerritos, Long Beach, Palomar. I mean, the number one JUCO conference in America at the time was here in Southern California. So I chose the stellar Golden West Junior College. At the time, they were 0-30, which means they hadn't won a game in 3 years. And here's my rationale, Pat. If I can't play there, I can't play anywhere. Hang it up, right? So I said, hey, if I can't play here and get on the field, then what am I doing? So sure enough, I went to Golden West, got on the field every play, which is what you got to do to be seen, right? You got to get yourself on film. And we had another stellar year at 0-10, which means the school went 0-40, which, let's look at the positive here. I'm an optimistic guy. Became the longest losing streak in college football history, and I was a part of it.
Now we're talking.
Yeah, but it's a record. I got a record. So thank you.
No problem. You. Proud of you, man.
Yeah, man. So went to Golden West and played a year at JUCO and then transferred to UTEP.
Okay, so you go to UTEP. What are you, linebacker, tight end? When do you start long snapping?
Well, so I did it my senior year in high school, and I was decent. I wasn't good. I was decent. And then I didn't do it when I went to Golden West. And my buddy Paul Tessier went to UTEP. That's just when the internet was out. You still had to dial in like AOL, which the young kids don't even know about that. But it would take like 5 minutes to get online. And I remember Googling the Sun Bowl, and I remember this stadium. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so rock star. So they needed a long snapper. So I just finished my freshman year at Golden West. And so I borrowed, if you will, some footage of some other players on my team. And this was 2 VHS tapes, right? You put the wires in the back, play, pause, record. You'd have some static in between. And I took my highlights. I did. I was a linebacker and fullback, and I did pretty good. But Nick Heinley was a beast. I was 47. He was 48. Both white guys. Both looked the same. He literally knocked people out. So I was never that guy. So I thought, well, I'll just borrow some of his huge hits. And this is before, hey, look, this is before HD cameras. This is before you had 30 cameras at practice. This is before you had those automatic cameras that just follow one dude the whole time. So, you could barely see. Anyways, so I was like, I'll just borrow them. And, in my mind, that's how I play. So now you got me running with the receivers, me making open field tackles, making the reads, taking on the pulling guards. And then you got him just blowing people up, dude. He literally knocked himself out on 2 hits. I used those, obviously. And so, and then I was like, man, this dude, Tim Thurman, this guy's a beast. I mean, he's a great long snapper. He's 6'6". He's better than I ever was in my career. And UTEP needed a snapper, and I was lacking snapping footage, if you will. Now I'll just borrow some of those clips, and we'll call it a day. And, I literally sent a film that was comprised of 3 of us. I had some of my high school snaps on there, and then anything in the junior college realm was Tim. And like I said, money. The dude was money.
My
so it
God,
worked.
John, I'm just thinking of this high school coach thinking he's getting the next fucking Lawrence Taylor. This guy is just crushing people, running with wide receivers. He's a fullback, knocking people out, and he's a 6'6" long snapper. This guy is a dream come true. Coming to UTEP, and you just do a little sleight of hand, no big deal. You get to UTEP.
Well,
go ahead.
So it's interesting. And this is true. I cut it so you can see the snap, but you wouldn't see Tim stand up. That's right. But now this is where I felt that I wasn't wrong, and this is for all the kids out there. I'm not saying lie. I'm not saying cheat. I'm not saying steal. But I do think I believe that I was good enough, and I knew I could play, and I knew I could do it. I just needed the opportunity. So. I've had people and reporters over the years say, well, didn't you feel guilty? I'm like, well, I mean, I ended up being a 14-year All-Pro, so I don't know if, obviously I knew I could do it. It's just a matter of I needed the opportunity, and I wasn't getting the exposure that I needed. I wasn't getting a chance.
I don't think
so
you
I
should
just
feel...
look at it more not as conning the system, but more as creating an opportunity that I knew I could deliver. If you can't deliver, you're host. Then it goes nowhere.
You're screwed. You can get yourself in the door, which you did, but the ability to deliver is what kept you there, and that's what made you get to the NFL. So the Philadelphia Eagles, was that your first landing spot after your UTEP experience?
Oh, no, dude. This sunny California kid, where else would I want to go than Buffalo, New York, baby?
I didn't know you wanted to know where you were at the Bills. How long were you at the Bills?
Yeah. Well, so here's what happened. I go to UTEP, and the Texans called. They come work me out. And they're like, hey, we're going to draft you in the 5th round. And I was like, oh, my gosh. Now, Ryan Pompriant was Cleveland. He was a draft pick out of Rice. And he was a long snapper, pure long snapper. Phenomenal, by the way. The guy was unreal. And he actually went down as, I think, number 70-something, 78 top 100 picks in Cleveland Brown draft history as a pure long snapper. That's
Let's
cool.
go, yeah.
Yeah, that's good for the brand.
Great for the brand.
So I ended up getting a call from the Texans. They're going to draft me in the 5th. Oh, my gosh. Me and my buddies at UTEP were around the TV. 5th round comes, and the Houston Texans select not Jon Dorenbos. And I was like, what? You kidding me? So the Green Bay called. I had some free agent offers. Green Bay offered quite a bit of money up front. And my agent's like, look, dude, Rob Davis is there. He ain't going nowhere. I'm telling you right now, just don't take that job. Buffalo, they're going to give you $3,000 up front. It's going to be your job to lose. And if I were you, I would take that. And I was like, wait, take less money? He's like, look, I'm going to give you a piece of advice. Take time over money, kid. Don't worry about the money. It'll come. You have a chance to make this team. So take it. And so I did. Man, I took that 3 G's, baby, $1,700 after taxes. I went to UTEP the Stampede. I slammed that thing on the bar top and said, bartender, can my boys drink for free tonight?
Yeah,
Hey,
we're talking.
Yeah, that next morning I was like, shit, I wish I had that $1,700 right now. But it's fun.
How long were you with Buffalo for?
2 years. And I was not very good, man. I literally was awful. I mean, it was so bad. I didn't even do field goals halfway through the year because I was not very good, dude. The weather. I still was trying to figure out. Well, this is an important note. I was still trying to figure out how to snap the same each time.
Yeah.
Right. It was kind of a learning curve, if you will. And really, the reality is this. And Pat, what was your rookie year?
09.
Okay, so mine was 03, and 03 was just about the year that teams were designating just long snappers, and
Sure.
So it just so happened that I was better than some of the guys coming out of college. But had that been today, I would have never made it. No way, because the snappers now are so much better than I was then. I fell in an era of the game that was the right time, and I was good enough.
You need to give yourself a lot more credit for a lot of things. When I got a chance to watch you snap at Philadelphia, you were incredible. A lot of people don't know this. And here we are about to break down some cultural myths that have all been founded around Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, and Dan Marino. The laces for a field goal is not on the holder. It is on the snapper. That is what the snapper is judged upon, to be honest. Every snap to be the same. Let's keep the laces facing forward. The holder, Dan Marino, because of Finkel, was getting blamed for this whole thing. In the world, we just always thought, laces out, Dan, laces out, Dan. That's on the long snapper, especially now in the age of long snappers, long snapping professionally strictly. Am I correct, John?
Well, here's the deal. You held, right?
Yes, sir. Great.
Yeah. So this is obviously the opinion of a holder.
No, come on. I would like to hear an answer here. Let's break down the myth from Ace Ventura.
No,
Pet Detective.
you know what? It is. Well, it wasn't necessarily in 03. You just wanted a guy that could get it back there. But as this progressed, absolutely, dude. So snappers are judged based on accuracy, speed, on punts. And then on field goals, it's basically location and laces, 100%.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of holders like it over the spot, which means if the kicker's here and his foot, you can't see the ground, but let's say his foot's going to swing here. Some holders want the ball here so they can just go straight down over the spot. When I was in the Northeast, the weather was so bad that we kind of learned a lot of holders would rather have it more into their shoulder a little bit. So if they fumbled it would hit their body. And that's just a product of being in Buffalo and having 60-degree side wind and blizzards. But so I basically figured out that my ball spun 3.5 times. And if I hit the same spot and the same speed, same everything, the holder would catch it. And now I'm not going to, I can't take credit here because obviously this is a football. These are the laces, obviously. And,
he's holding up a lighter, like bonfire lighter, one of those extendo lighters.
If you want to be a great snapper, practice with these. So anyways, if this were the laces, Pat, this is interesting.
Yeah.
My ball actually didn't come at a perfect 12 o'clock, which is laces forward. Mine came at like an 11, between 10 and 11 o'clock, so it was a slight turn, but worked in my favor because you would catch it, and a holder would have a natural progression of that.
Yeah,
right? And it would rotate those few degrees. So, I had really good holders, man. Donnie Sav Rocca was a punter, amazing. Brian Moorman, amazing. Craig Hentrick, amazing. Donnie Jones, amazing. Dirk Johnson, Coy Detmer. I had really good holders that. Because here's the other thing, Pat, that I'll say.
Go on.
Though the laces are the responsibility of the snapper, it is the holder's responsibility to have consistency in the location of which he catches the ball. You guys get so excited. It's your moment to shine. You're on there on one knee. You think you're cool.
Yep.
You want to reach for it. You want to let it come back. Well, if explain this to people, because that's a big deal.
Okay, so
Big deal.
I would like people to understand, though, that the long snapper only gets talked about when he messes up. And normally the holder only gets talked about when the laces aren't great or a kicker misses the ball. But the amount of precision coming out of the hands of a long snapper, people have no idea about. The ability to make a ball spin. Look, he said 3.5 times. Every single time it was a 3.5 time spin so that he knew exactly where the laces were so that an operation can be under 125 every single time. I think long snappers deserve a lot more credit. I think I was trying to give you guys more credit, even though it was appearing as if I was trying to get the heat off of the holders. Long snappers are a very incredible specimen of specialists because the ability to repeat that action on numerous occasions is something not everybody can do.
Well, you know, I was obsessed with just that, right? And this goes back to learning magic. It was this idea of doing something over and over again until it looks absolutely maybe good enough, maybe perfect, but it's in search of that perfect rep every single time. This is the thing in life that I love. Like when I was a snapper, I love to go practice punt and field goal. And field goal for me more because there was a little bit of kind of like touch to it. There's a little bit more art, if you will, to it. There's a little bit more precision. But the idea of doing something over and over and over and over in search of a perfect rep, just to be able to do something, anything, it doesn't matter, and make it look cool. Sometimes you mess up, sometimes you don't. But it isn't necessarily the exact move. It's the process of getting to it. It's the journey of it. It's you're always in search of a perfect rep, and whether you find it or not, at times is almost irrelevant. But what you learn about yourself, the resiliency, all that is to me what came into it. The fact that I love magic as a kid, the fact that I love tediousness, the fact that I love doing something with repetition over and over and over, I think that contributed to why I kind of had success as a snapper, because just like kicking, it's the same motion over and over and over.
Well, those listening didn't get. You're gonna have to check the YouTube for what just happened. He just turned an 8 of diamonds into an ace while speaking through that whole time and thing, and then he flipped out 5 cards from behind his hand somehow. I mean, he just basically correlated his two professions perfectly in one explanation there. And I think the tediousness of the snapping and of being a specialist and of magicians is not something that everybody has.